Welcome to the EmpowerHer Wellness Podcast. I'm Morgan, and I'm thrilled to be your host and wellness coach as we navigate the path to a healthier, more confident you. As the owner of Get Fit With Me, I bring years of experience in personal training, nutrition, and coaching to each episode. Join me as we explore practical tips and strategies for fitness, nutrition, mindset, and more, all tailored for busy women just like you. Let's empower your wellness journey and achieve lasting transformation together. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to an episode of the EmpowerHer Wellness Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Morgan Ekovich, and today we are celebrating episode 100, and I am so excited. It is crazy to think back to September 5th, 2024, when this podcast launched. That's when I launched EmpowerHer Wellness, and when I started this, EmpowerHer Wellness was all about helping women physically, mentally, and emotionally, and over these last 100 episodes, if you've tuned in, you've probably listened to episodes on how to financially set ourselves up for success, how to do some estate planning, how to work on our emotional side, our mental side, our physical side, our nutrition side, our water, our stress, our sleep. There's so many parts to our health outside of the normal traditional exercise and nutrition. And as this podcast went on, I wanted to evolve. I wanted that to open up for there to be opportunity for us to learn and create a circle of people that I trust, that I can send my clients to. And that's exactly what it has done. Did I know it was going to go the route it did? No. Did I know from the start that not soon after starting I was going to move into weekly podcasts? Absolutely not. Did I know I was going to meet so many amazing local women? No. Like, it is the coolest thing that this podcast has brought. Prior to this, some of you probably have known that I have a free Facebook group for busy moms, fitness, nutrition, mindset, and accountability. And back in 2020, I started that Facebook group completely free. And I was going live in the Facebook group every Thursday. Every single Thursday. I did that for years. I did that up until this podcast started. Even after this podcast started, I moved into monthly, and then we slowly weaned that out because I was able to create the content that I wanted to create for you on a better platform, on a way for you to listen and educate yourself more easily. Facebook groups are wonderful for that community and the connection, but being able to listen and tune in all the time, you can't shut your phone. It's all wonky. So I wanted to move to a platform that was easier accessible for each and every one of you, and I have loved it. I am so happy that I started the podcast. One of the things as I was creating this episode is I kept thinking, I need to go big, I need to go elaborate, I need balloons, I need cake, I need all the things, and that's not true. That's not what I needed. I needed the time and the space to think, what has this podcast really taught me? What has it given me to give to you? And what have I learned from this? Because milestones look different to each and every single one of us. To a new podcaster, that first 10 episodes is a huge milestone. And then it's that 50. And then it's that 100. And then after that 100, it keeps getting spread out. It's like, then it's 200, then it's 500, then it's 1,000. And in the beginning, those milestones are so small and so quick. And we don't always acknowledge them because we're always like, okay, on to the next one, on to the next one. And I wanted to take time today to acknowledge how far I have come, how far this podcast has come, and how far so many of my clients have come specifically from working with me and just listening to this podcast. I have known podcasters who have gotten to that 100th episode in a couple months, or ones that have taken longer, or ones who haven't even made it here because their podcast just never took off and they decided not to put the time and energy into it. It is so easy to compare yourself to what other people doing similar things are doing around you. And that was the first thing that I kind of thought about. I was like, well, could I have hit this sooner? Who cares how fast I hit this? I hit this goal by showing up consistently, by showing up unperfect. You've probably heard some of my episodes. If you go back and listen to my first couple, at least that first 10 to 15, the way I interviewed people, so different than I do now. It was a lot more robotic is what I felt like. Maybe it's me just being a little critical. I could never go back and listen to myself. It was the most uncomfortable thing to do. Don't get me wrong, I don't like jump for joy when I have to review my podcast, but like I don't cringe at listening to myself or what I said or trying to edit every word. Like, this is who I am and this is what I've created. And before we get too far into this, I have to give a super huge shout out to Ambar Ramirez. She is my virtual assistant, my business manager, my back end. There honestly would be no podcast without her. I get to do the fun part of creating the episode, finding guests, having the conversations, actually producing the episode here. And then I send it off to her and she gets to do all the back end final touches. So it actually gets to you on Buzzsprout, on Spotify, on Apple, where you can actually watch it. So huge shout out. Thank you so much, Ambar. I would not be able to do any of this without you. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to have you for these last 100 episodes and excited to see what these next 100 episodes bring. So first little shout out there. We're going to notice today, I'm going to do some shout outs. We're going to talk about some podcasts, some previous episodes we've had that I really enjoyed, some guests I really had. We're going to talk about some partnerships that have come from this podcast and just being able to become more confident and get out there. And then we're going to circle it back into health. So let's talk about this. I started this podcast with taking a course and knowing what I learned in the course and honestly picking a date and starting. And I knew I was going to figure it out along the way. I know I had Ambar to help me with the back end because the whole editing was like my biggest fear. I knew that my bandwidth was going to get smaller and then it was going to get bigger. And I was concerned about how I was going to stay consistent. And as all of that was happening and as I was creating today's episode, I was thinking about how much I've been talking to my clients about this recently, about their health journeys, about how you may not exactly know how it's going to end up. You may not know every single path that you are going to take. But what I do know is if you continue to show up consistently every single time, day after day, day after day, you will see results. You will hit that milestone. For some, like I said, it may be immediately. It may be within the first couple months. It may take years for it to happen. But if you continue to show up, even when you're tired, even when you don't want to, even when you have a list and you're like, I have to do this, if you can continue to show up, you will see the results. When I started this podcast, it was honestly for fitness, nutrition, sleep, women's whole health, and it's turned into pelvic floor health, relationships, organization, travel, meditation, mindset, hormones, confidence, and not just for those of you listening. And I love when you guys come up to me and you say, oh, I listened to your episode when I was walking, or there's somebody that I know, she's so sweet, and she actually started the podcast at episode 1, and she has been listening. And when I'm like, oh, did you listen to this week's episode? She goes, I haven't got there. Remember, she's literally started episode 1 and worked her way through. We all come into podcasts different. Sometimes we find an episode we like and we start there. Sometimes we start from the beginning. Sometimes we start because we found it and it was the newest episode, and then we pick and choose. What I wanted to create was a platform for you to feel like you could come to and you could have resources that were vetted, doctors and referrals that you felt confident reaching out to and asking questions. And that's what I wanted to create. I wanted to create a group of people who have nutrition and dietetics backgrounds, doctors with hormone backgrounds, people who are masters in helping women find their confidence, people who are estate planners and helping you think ahead, because a lot of times all we're doing is putting out fires. How can we think ahead a little bit more so that we're not always just putting out the fires? And because our health is not just one thing, it's all of these areas together. It's us being able to lower our stress by knowing that our estate's taken care of so that we can do this workout and that we can get good sleep at night. They all are connected as much as you may want to think they're not. And I hope we are not still at that spot. But as much as you may think they're not, they are. Absolutely, they are. If you have a conversation with somebody in the day and it causes you to feel anxious and stressed and overwhelmed, that is going to trickle into how you continue your day. If you don't have the tools to kind of reset, it's also going to probably throw off possibly some emotional eating and so on and so forth. So it all is connected, and it's important that here, when you are coming in and you are listening, that there is so much that you can learn. There is so much you can learn. I want you to take little bits and pieces. Do not try to implement it all at one time. Take notes if you are a note person. Come back to an episode, save it, all of those things, because there is a lot to learn. But also, you may listen to an episode and it may not be where you're at right now. You're like, I got that handled. But eventually, life may throw a curveball and you may realize sleep is a struggle for you. Then you come back and you learn about the sleep episodes with Kelly Meyerson. So let's give some thank yous. Let's get into some thank yous here. So first thing, I need to give a thank you to every single guest who has taken time out of their day, out of their life to connect with me one-on-one, whether it's been in person or virtually, who's reached out, who has wanted to be a guest, who's wanted to share their expertise, and has allowed me to put them in the spotlight in a way that they have not been super comfortable with. We have a lot of podcast versions on here. I think we've had at least 10 of our guests had never been on a podcast before. And they're my favorite. And you would never know unless we talked about it, which some of the episodes we talked about, but it's a new realm for a lot of us. It's uncomfortable to talk in front of a screen. So I want to say thank you for those of you who showed up, who did something uncomfortable, who took time out of your day, who shared your knowledge and your expertise, and also have been a support, not just during the podcast, but for any of my clients or any people who have listened on the podcast who have come to you because of it. Because I have welcomed you in the circle, I've put a lot of trust in you, and thank you for upholding that trust. So I need to say thank you to that. The other thing I need to say thank you to is any of you who have ever listened to an episode, whether it's one episode or you've binge listened to all of them. I have to say thank you, because being able to just see that one person watched one of my episodes on one day, like, lights my heart on fire, that somebody is listening, somebody cares, somebody is listening, that I am doing this for a purpose. And some days we have huge numbers, some days we have small numbers, some days we have no numbers. But when I even just have that one person listen, they may not even implement, it means the world to me. The thing that is also amazing is when you guys send me emails, text messages, send me a voice memo, you tell me in class, you tell me on our next check-in call, and you say, hey, I listened to this episode. I love it. Even when we're working together, the fact that you're still listening to our episodes just like makes me so happy. And I just can't thank you enough. And the final thing I need to say on the thank yous is I have had enormous support from clients and non-clients, but people that I've met either through networking or here in the podcast or just in life in general. However you have put your trust in me, whatever that's looked like, you've been tagging me on Facebook, you've been shouting me out, and you have helped me increase my business. So I just need to say thank you to that, because I know it seems small of like, oh, I'll just give a tag, but it means the world, just like listening to that one episode. So, okay, I won't get too more mushy, but I just those are just some thank yous that I have to say, because I am just so grateful that this podcast has created so much more than I ever thought it would create. I hadn't even had an idea of what 100 episodes looked like, or how long it would take me, or what I wanted my business to even look like when I started in 2020. The reason I started Get Fit With Me was I was laid off at 26 and I thought it was unacceptable. Some of you have heard the story, some of you haven't. And it wasn't even my choice. I was laid off. It was COVID. So it's not even like it was my choice. And I remember thinking, okay, so this is an opportunity. What am I going to do during this time? And one of the things that I really thought I was doing a disservice to with my clients when I was an in-person trainer is I would see them for their training sessions. They'd be strength training. They'd be doing great. They'd be feeling good in their sessions. But during our sessions, we would still talk about the same things over and over again. We would talk about their sleep, their stress. Did they eat enough? Are they drinking enough water? Are they meal prepping? Like, we would be talking about these and we would have the same conversations over and over again with everybody I was working with. So when 2020 hit and I had the opportunity to create something on my own, I knew I wanted to be whole health encompassing. I wanted it to not just be that traditional personal training session where you see your trainer for 30 minutes to an hour, you're in and out. I wanted to make sure we were connecting on the back end, that we were creating habits that were sustainable, that were supporting our strength training. I wanted to make sure you were drinking enough water. I wanted to make sure that we were looking at your nutrition, not just every once in a while, but we actually could put our fingers on what was working, what was not working, and dial in a little bit more if that's the space you were in. And that's where Get Fit With Me kind of evolved from, is it's not just about getting fit. It's about getting stronger. It's not just about making yourself smaller and skinnier. It's about making yourself feel more confident, making yourself feel comfortable taking up space in the room, making yourself feel comfortable and natural in everything you do. So often we feel out of place. We feel like we don't belong, or we're taking up too much space, whether it's in a conversation or actual physical space, does not matter. I wanted to help women feel more confident in all areas of their life and get stronger in all areas. So that's where Get Fit With Me evolved from. And throughout being able to have different guests on and being able to have this podcast, I was able to help build on that and create that. We've been able to have some amazing partnerships over these last 100 episodes. And first off, it was just like me figuring out the programs and me starting to work with some local people, such as our guests who we've had on. So I'm going to shout them out in some episodes you guys should definitely go back and check out on. And then it's turned into some other new programs we have, which I will touch on, as well as some fun partnerships that I never saw coming. So let's talk about some highlight episodes. And we've had so many guests, and I need to do a whole guest highlight comment reel post. I need to do one of those. But I wanted to shout out a few episodes that really were some of my favorites, and it's not ranking them by any means, but they were just some that kind of came to mind. And one of the most recent ones is episode 90 with Dr. Sean West, perimenopause and menopause symptoms, hormones, strength training, and what women need to know. This one was one of my favorite, partly because Dr. Sean and I could have continued to talk forever, which I feel like happens with a lot of my guests. But the way her and I met was just so coincidental in what life has to offer around you. We were sitting at the nail salon, which if you listen to the episode, I won't give you the whole breakdown. My mom and I were sitting at the nail salon. I believe it was for my birthday. We were getting our toes done. And my mom and I were just talking about family history and health. And Dr. Sean West injected herself. She had no problem feeling confident in herself and being strong and like interjecting herself into our conversation. Some people would have been like, oh, heck no, I'm not going to do that. Or I would not appreciate if somebody did that. I love it when people do that. I know I do not know everything. I do not know everything, nor am I going to be able to learn everything. That is why I have experts on. And she was one that from the beginning, I knew she was going to be a great fit on this podcast just by the way that she was comfortable enough to interject and share and say, hey, sorry I did that. But also, I'm like, please do not be sorry. That is what I want. So thank you, Dr. Sean West. Go check out episode 90. I know there's a ton of you who are in perimenopause and are menopausal. So another one is we've had Dr. Andrea Hurst, which was episode 10. This was an earlier episode, and this was on pelvic floor pain. And when we kind of have that sneeze and we pee a little, all of those feelings, I loved that episode because it was something different. And pelvic floor therapy is becoming so common these days. You can get a script for it from your doctor, and you can actually go to pelvic floor therapy, and I highly recommend it, especially if you've had kids or if you know you're going to have kids. Like, let's strengthen that. That's something we can work together and do. But pelvic floor therapy has become super common, and it's become way more talked about. So being able to have her on to talk about that was great. I actually kind of forgot we did that because that was episode 10. Then we had Kelly Meyerson on for a couple episodes, actually, to talk about sleep strategies. So one of them was episode 37. You can just go and search Kelly Meyerson, I believe, in the episodes. Don't quote me on that. But episode 37, we talked about sleep strategies for the busy brain. So there's two types of people typically. There's the people who go to bed, who fall asleep right away, and they may wake up midnight and be like, oh, now I'm awake. Or there's the people who struggle to fall asleep. And those are those busy brains that their brain just keeps going. And I love talking about this because I am totally the person that My head hits the pillow and I'm out. Like as I'm getting ready to change a channel, I will fall asleep. I am so, my bed, my pillow, my head hits that pillow and I am out. So sleep, super important. Go check out episode 37 if you haven't already. We also had one, which this was a unique episode for us, which was fun. It was episode 56, Stop Self-Sabotaging with These 3 Coaching Questions with Melanie McNamara. So I've actually met Melanie McNamara at a networking group, the Lansing Women's Forum, that I've been going to, wow, it's probably been 4 or 5 years now. And she's had a crazy health story, and it was just really great to hear her story and how so often we continue to play the victim in our own life and how we can self sabotage without even realizing it. So if you're noticing like maybe you're playing the victim or you're self sabotaging or woe is me or things are never going your way, go listen to this episode. Not because it's there to fix you or because you have to be fixed, but it's there to help change your perspective on life and on things. So those are just a few. And then we've also had Dr. Michaela Anderson on. She's been on the last couple times. Our last episode was only about a month ago. And we just talked about anything and everything. I met her also through a networking group who it is so crazy how small of a world Lansing is. And I'm so grateful to be here and to be creating this network of women that I can send other women to help get the support they need. Because like I've said already, I may not be the right person for you. I may not be that right fit in your journey right now or ever, but I want to be able to create that network that you can go to and you can say, hey, Morgan, I feel comfortable enough asking you, this is what I'm going through. Who do you recommend? Where do you suggest I go? That is what I want to be. And I want to be that resource that you can come to and you can ask those questions and I can give you an honest answer. So thank you to those episodes. Once again, those are not limited. We've had 100 episodes. At least 30 of them have been guest episodes. So I'm going to do a big post eventually of like, we did this a while back where it was like 5 of our guests and we highlighted those episodes. So we're going to do that again because that was really fun because sometimes we miss it. If we're not always on top of it, you may miss episodes and you may miss a topic you wanted to learn about. So some other partnerships that's grown in the last 100 episodes. First one is Acme Home Exteriors. Last year, they had moved to a larger warehouse space at the corner of Jolly and Aurelius, and they had some larger warehouse space. We had been talking, and I wanted to get back into teaching in-person classes. They allowed me to use the space there to start teaching in-person classes. Come winter, our partnership there ended up migrating, but I'm so thankful for that partnership because it got me back into teaching in person, and I did not realize how much teaching women in person I missed. Like I freaking missed it. From there, I ran into the owner of Love Light Collective in Old Town, and they have a yoga studio down there. If you've never taken yoga there or you've never checked out their space, go check out their website. We'll put their link in the show notes. Go check them out. They're fantastic, and the space is just so beautiful. But now I rent space there on Wednesday nights, and I teach class, strength training boot camp for women, and it is fun. It's such a fun group of women. We get together, we laugh every 6 weeks. We go and have dinner and drinks after class because we have to have balance in it all. Yes, we can be strict all the time, but it's not going to be sustainable. So we work on finding that balance. We have created the cooking club in January, and this was kind of sparked and paired with a newer partnership we have last October. So October 2025, I just was really enjoying cooking, and I've enjoyed it for a while. I've been doing it for a family I work for, and I was like, other women want to cook together, and my house does not have enough room, nor does anybody's house have enough room to like all cook together. So how can we create a cooking club? So I created the cooking club, and that is a once a month Zoom cooking class that we do together. I give you the recipe. I give you the grocery list. You follow it. You make sure you've got everything beforehand. And then in the class, we go through the recipe together and we cook it. Within an hour, you've cooked the whole meal and you're able to sit down and enjoy with your family. And in addition to that, I give you multiple other recipes that you can follow and try throughout the month that are also easy, quick, good for your body, and help you fuel. And when I was creating that, I was then thinking of, we've been buying beef locally. We've been buying farm fresh beef for probably about a year and a half. We've been buying farm fresh beef for about a year and a half now. And last year, the farm that we were buying it from, I met one of the owners, one of the farmers, and we got talking, and I got thinking through, okay, how can we make this accessible? Not just because I was getting it from Indiana, because that's where their farms were, but I didn't realize they had a Michigan farm. And I was like, how can we get this more accessible to people in Lansing? And so I partnered up with Brumfield Angus Farms, and I'm really excited because they've got farms all over the Midwest. They've got Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Montana, and a few other ones. And it's 100% Angus beef, and it is so freaking good. And we've partnered up with them, and they're so amazing to work with. And the part that I love about them compared to any other time I've purchased meat is I don't have to buy a half, a quarter, or a full cow. We create menus together. I work with the farm, and we create menus of what people around here are looking for. And there's bundles for it. You could literally buy 1 pound of ground beef if you want, or you can buy a 20-pound bundle and get a little bit of a discount. We have steak bundles, roast bundles, all of that. And it's a lot more feasible because when you don't have a deep freeze, or when you just don't have the means to shell out $500-$600 up front for meat, it's hard. Like, how do you do that? And right now there's so much transitioning in the grocery stores with beef and stuff. Like, I wanted to make sure we're bringing good quality beef here to Lansing. So that's been a really fun partnership that I have been working with. And then the last partnership I'm going to talk about is, you guys have seen me in my gear. I'm wearing my shirt. I've got my hat. We have fanny packs now, is the Idea People. So Charlotte at the Idea People, she has been phenomenal. If you've checked out our website and you've gone to our clothing store, everything on there she has helped me create. They have an in-house, like, actually touch feel. So I can actually touch and feel the items before we are putting them on the website for you guys to purchase. And that has been a fun partnership that honestly I never saw coming. I always thought it'd be cool to have like a couple branded things, but now I have people who like want my fanny packs with my logo on it, who want hats, who want things like that. And to be able to have a local company here to be able to help me create that and to make that feasible is like phenomenal. Without me having to carry inventory is the best. So thank you, Charla, with the Idea People, for that as well. So those are just some really cool partnerships that have grown over these last 100 episodes, because I've had certain guests on and they've introduced me to different people, or a conversation has been sparked up that I even have a podcast. So none of it was within my original plan, and I am just so grateful for all of it. So I know we've talked a lot about the thank yous, and if you're still here with us, thank you for being here. We're going to do a quick of what's to come. We have some amazing new partnership opportunities coming in this next couple months. I'm so excited. There is some local health companies that I have partnered with and have decided to have on the podcast, as well as work with individually. So make sure you are continuing to tune in for those episodes. We're doing some promo codes back and forth, those sorts of things. Also, we're going to keep building episodes on a weekly basis every Thursday around physically, mentally, emotionally, nutritionally, spiritually, helping you become the most confident and strongest version of yourself. In a world right now where society is telling us to shrink and change, I hope you are seeing less of that and more of the stronger, take up space version. And the reason I say that is there's so many of us coaches who are trying to make that the main message and not the smaller. And it all looks different to each of us, every woman in a different stage. But the more you continue to lean in to what you really want, and are you willing to live a lifestyle that gets you to that goal? And if you're not, let's change that goal. Let's make it something you actually want. So many times I've talked to women and their goals are because they're goals they think they should have, not the goals that they have to have. And you don't have to have any goals, really. You don't. There's no rule book. I was actually just talking to a client earlier, and I was like, if you don't finish your breakfast in one sitting because you feel full, don't throw it out. Put it in the fridge and eat it a little later. I said, there's no rule against that. There's no rule that when you make breakfast, you have to eat it all in one sitting. And she was like, oh. I said, yeah. We as adults all of a sudden create all these rules The day has to look this way. There's no rule out there. There's no rule of what your goal has to look like. There's no rule of what you need to do. If you want to do it and it gets you to the goal that you want, then yes, there are going to be some have-tos. Like you are going to have to drink the dang water. You are going to have to strength train. You are going to have to move your body. You are going to have to manage your sleep. There are things if that is what you want. If that's not what you want, that's okay. I want you to think about during this episode, when you started your health journey, or maybe you're starting now, I want you to write down, how did you feel? What do you feel like? Physically, mentally, emotionally, how much water are you drinking? How are you eating? What does your exercise routine look like? What does life in general look like? That's the other thing I see that happens is women come to me and they're like, I want to get back to where I was 10 years ago. Well, 10 years ago, we had 3 less kids than we have now. Life just looks different. Not saying we can't, but we need to be a little bit more realistic here. And notice that whatever that goal is and whatever we want to do, we are choosing that. And anytime we choose not to do the thing that gets us that goal, it is a choice we are making. I'm so proud of every single one of you who has showed up to either class, who has worked with me, who has seen any of my social media and has decided to take a step for themselves, who's listened to a podcast, any sort of forward motion you have done, even if it feels like it's been the most tiny baby step in the world, does not matter. That baby step meant something to you, and that's why you did it. So keep letting those baby steps happen. Baby step after baby step after baby step. Eventually, it gets to be a bigger step. And eventually, you get to 100 episodes. We all get there at different times, at different rates. We have all noticed this in the weight loss and the strength journey. Our lives are different. It takes us all a different amount of time. I don't put guarantees of you're going to hit this in 90 days. No, because our lives are different and things are going to change. But I want you to get strong. I want you to feel confident. I want you to get fired up thinking about how far you've come rather than how sad about, how much I've let myself go. No, you have done so much stuff. Yes, sometimes our body has responded in a way that we've put on weight. But I don't want you to get caught up in that. Look at how much other things you've done. Has your career grown? Have you been able to send your kids off to school? Have you been able to, who knows? Have you been able to do things? Yes. Acknowledge those. It's okay. We can always work on our health. Our health is never an end game. And here at the EmpowerHer Wellness Podcast, we talk about that. There's never a finish line to our health. We're always working on ourselves. We're always bettering ourselves. And yes, it sounds fucking exhausting sometimes. I get it. I get it. But that's how we become the best version of ourselves, is by continuing to show up and take care of ourselves every single day. Some days it's 100%, some days it's 80, some days it's 10, but we're still showing up. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was so different than what we've done, but I just really had so much thanks and gratitude to what these last 100 episodes have brought to me and everybody around me. So if you enjoyed today's episode or you enjoy our podcast at all, a few things that I would love is make sure you hit follow on whatever platform you listen to on. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. I'm trying to grow the subscribers there, and there is video, so you can see me if you really would like to. And make sure you're following us on social. We're posting things all the time, not just about the podcast. I've got workouts that we're posting. Sometimes we're posting mental. Sometimes we're posting nutritional. We've got everything across the board, here to help and support you and help you become the most strongest and confident version of yourself. Until next time, see you all back here next week for episode 101. Thank you for tuning in to the EmpowerHer Wellness Podcast. I hope you found today's episode inspiring and packed with actionable tips. Remember, your journey to becoming the strongest, most confident version of yourself is just beginning. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and join our community of empowered women. Until next time, stay strong and stay confident.